Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. On the eve of Anthony Albanese's first visit to Tasmania as Labor leader, there are calls within the party for a major policy overhaul. Senior figures say tough questions still need to be asked over why traditional Labor strongholds turned against them on polling day.
Labor Senator Helen Polley with high hopes at the start of the 2019 election.
Adios, amigo. Vote in a Labor government.
But it was long-time Labor voters in Launceston's northern suburbs who said adios to the opposition. The seats of Braddon and Bass turning blue, leaving those behind to pick up the pieces.
What we have to do is rebuild. We have to rebrand ourselves in terms of the policies that we take to the next election.
Policies, she says, could have confused voters or given ammunition to the government. And as for claims Labor's Tasmanian campaign was run from the mainland,
I've always been one that's been very strong, believing that we have to respect our community. Things resonate very differently here in Tasmania to some of the mainland.
While a 20-year parliamentary veteran is even more blunt.
I think Labor's message was too big and got lost in those, and I think it was seen to be more mainland oriented.
His advice for Anthony Albanese:
Albo will have to make sure he's not Sydney-centric, otherwise he won't connect to the communities in the regions.
And that's exactly what Anthony Albanese will do tomorrow. He's expected to fly into Launceston for a regroup with Labor faithful. The challenge for the party now is to understand the communities they lost and regain their trust. But the well-oiled Liberal Party machine doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
The job didn't stop on the 18th of May, it just started again, and we've got to convince people that we are the best party for them.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's heritage buildings could be under threat, with specialist trades suffering a skill shortage. A landmark convict restoration project has been unveiled in Oatlands today, with the hopes of helping to preserve our history by acting as a hub for specialist trades training.
A restored landmark returning to the Oatlands community today. The commissariat store dating back to 1828 in a town once earmarked to become the inland capital of Van Diemen's Land.
It's an important part of the story as to why Oatlands is here today, and if it wasn't for the fact that this was a military outpost, then we wouldn't have this beautiful town full of wonderful Georgian buildings.
The building was at risk of ruin until the council purchased the site and launched the restoration project. The commissariat a vital structure during the convict period and including the persecution of Aboriginal people.
Part and parcel of that, of course, we had courthouses, jails and commissariat stores, which were secure facilities for storing food, clothing and so on.
Graham Green placed 15,000 shingles for the restoration project. It's a rare skill personally passed on to him 25 years ago. But there are fears heritage trades like this are a dying art.
I try to keep all of that alive, where I go bush, pick the perfect tree for shingles, do the bush work, split the shingles by hand and then put them on as they would have been done, 200 years ago.
Skills researcher Andrew Jones estimates 90% of specialists are approaching retirement age.
The carpenters, the solid plasterers, the shinglers, look, every trade sector in Tasmania we're in shortage in the heritage sector.
This restored Oatlands site is now going to be used to help fight the shortage. It's becoming home to the Centre for Heritage, providing education and training on traditional building skills.
So I think within 5, 10, even 15 years, we may not have enough tradesmen and tradeswomen to actually to restore our houses, which is just so critical to the social fabric of Tasmania.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Airbnb is talking up its stake in Tasmania's tourism market ahead of next week's Dark Mofo Festival. Nearly 6,000 guests are expected to stay with hosts from the short stay website over the event. The company says this equates to around a third of all interstate and overseas visitors. Dark Mofo gets underway on Thursday. Some rare and unusual cars are going under the hammer in Hobart. Special edition Tiranas, Ferraris and jet-powered dragsters are up for grabs, but the price may be eye-watering.
Far from the standard fleet car auction, Pickles has a special selection of vehicles up for grabs. Viewings underway this weekend for its classic and unique car auction.
The interest comes not only from Tasmania, but the mainland states have shown very keen interest. I'm getting a lot of phone calls at all hours of the night as well.
It may not be street legal, but this dragster is certainly eye-catching. The custom-built vehicle featuring a jet engine.
It's built in the 1970s. It come from America. It's got a Westinghouse jet bomber engine in it. I'm not sure. It wouldn't be for the faint-hearted, that's for sure.
There's Mustangs, Commodores and Tiranas dating back to 1972.
It is history to us older people. We've grown up as kids driving these cars around at 18 years of age, and we've got a bit of a feeling for them.
To get behind the wheel of this Ferrari, you might need to remortgage with a minimum bid of $150,000.
Quite often they're not being driven, so they're sitting in garages and ornaments, I guess you could say. Some people will choose to drive them, of course, but the style of car generally lends itself to a showpiece.
For some, they're like an investment with plenty of mileage from car enthusiasts.
It could be better than putting your money in a bank and getting a bit of interest, but the car goes up in price as time goes on.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
In the TSL, Lauderdale's impressive 2019 season continued at the Twin Ovals, with the Southern Bombers too good for the hapless Tigers. North Hobart showed early glimpses against Launceston before the Blues stormed home for the 44-point win. Overnight, Glenorchy put on 13 second quarter majors to overrun the Roos at KG5. Goal sneak Harry Kiran was up to his old tricks at the Twin Ovals, seeing Lauderdale off to an early lead against the Tigers before Hugh Johnson provided the underdogs with a glimmer of hope. 2 second quarter majors to Alex Heavey, giving the visitors some breathing room, with the Bombers boasting a 31-point lead at half-time. The Tigers refusing to let it go without a fight, closing the margin to just 1 goal heading into the final quarter. But the Bombers' relentless pressure around the ball proved the difference, booting 7 in the home stretch to storm home the 42-point winners. It was the same old story for North Hobart at Windsor Park, with the young D showing promise in patches but failing to string 4 consistent quarters of footy together as the Blues backed up last weekend's impressive win over Glenorchy. Mitch Thorpe coming out with a point to prove following the week off with suspension, adding to his 2019 tally with a string of majors to help the home side along to a 44-point win. Overnight, the Pies got off to a flyer against Clarence at KG5, putting on 6 first quarter majors to the visitors' 1 to make it a 33-point buffer at the first change. The Roos bouncing back in a far more competitive second quarter, with Chris Neal slotting 2 through the middle of the sticks to help narrow the gap come the long break. From there, the visitors kept coming, booting themselves back to within 10 points, but Glenorchy refused to be overrun on their home deck as the side's big guns fired up, with the Pies storming home the 70-point winners. And it was an emotional day for Lilydale and Old Scotch in the NTFA's Division 1, with the sides playing out a tribute match for former premiership player Kian Brown, who passed away in February following a battle with brain cancer. Lilydale dominating on the scoreboard, keeping Old Scotch scoreless for the entire match before coming away the 100-point winners. Basketball and the Southern Huskies have closed in on a top 4 spot on the New Zealand NBL ladder with an impressive win on the road against the Taranaki Mountaineers. But the side's NBL 1 counterparts struggled at home, with playoffs slipping further out of reach. Well past the point of finding their feet in the league, the Huskies instead stamped their authority in hostile territory. Spurred on by imports Jalen Billups and Marcel Jones, the visitors kept the foot on the gas following an impressive first half, with Craig Moller making it rain from downtown to extend the lead to 16. Billups wouldn't be outdone, cementing himself as one of the most versatile big men in the competition as Trey Nichols continued his solid season, helping the visitors along to a dominant 24-point victory to see them sitting just 1 win outside the top 4. The Hobart Huskies couldn't find the same form at Kingborough, overrun by the Geelong Supercats in an underwhelming second period of play, with the home side unable to recover before going down by 11 points. The women's side's disappointing season continuing as the Supercats showed why they're the team to beat in 2019, holding on to top spot on the table with an easy 28-point win. To soccer, and Riverside drew first blood against Launceston City to take the 1-goal lead heading into half-time of the Northern Derby at Windsor Park. But City struck back just minutes after play resumed before Isaac De Ghetto provided them with another, sealing a desperately needed 2-1 win. And young Tasmanian surfer Luca Broadrib has established herself as one to watch for the future, with the 16-year-old recently taking out the state titles in the under-18, under-21 and open women's divisions.
This year I just, took it easy. I was like, you're just going for a surf. Doesn't matter what you come, you can only do your best. And, waves are pumping, so I just gave it my best and got a good result, which was pretty awesome.
Hobart's Jai Johannesson also capping off a dominant state series, taking out both the open and over 30 men's divisions.
Stopped taking it seriously. The results came, so yeah, it was good. I put a little bit of pressure on myself in the last contest because I wanted to sort of put it up a few people, and yeah, I did.
It's Johannesson's 4th state title.
Good evening. 17 was the state's warmest today in both Hobart and Launceston, 16 in Burnie and reaching a high of 15 in Devonport. Other centres today, 15 across King Island, Smithton, Low Head and Grove, Ooze, Friendly Beaches and Flinders Island, all reaching a high of 16 and 17 in St Helens. On the close-up, a low mid-level cloud band is approaching the west coast of Tasmania, while smoke from several fires is seen in the central north of the state. On the satellite, an upper trough is producing mid to high level cloud over the northeast of Australia, and a surface trough is also producing some low level cloud over southern Queensland. Tomorrow, a cold front is extending from Adelaide to Hobart and off to the southwest into the Southern Ocean. West to northwesterly winds tomorrow 10 to 20 knots, swells 2.5 to 3 metres in the west and south and below 1 metre in the north. A strong wind warning is current for western, northern and eastern coastal waters from Low Rocky Point to Southeast Cape. A bushwalkers weather alert is also current for the western and central plateau districts. Tomorrow's forecast now, showers developing with a high of 13 across Hobart, Richmond and Ooze. In the north, Launceston and Devonport a top of 13, early frost and showers for Deloraine. 14 in Burnie and Curry, showers and 13 for Strawn. 16 in St Helens tomorrow and showers developing across Swansea and Whitemark. Looking to the 3-day forecast now, Monday mainly fine about the central north, showers elsewhere. Tuesday showers about the west, far south and east coast, snow falling above 900 metres, fine elsewhere. And finally Wednesday showers about the west and far south, fine elsewhere. Capital cities, 15 in Melbourne and Canberra, sunny in Perth and Darwin and showers in Adelaide and Sydney. And on to current temperatures, looking clear around the state. Hobart 10, Launceston 9 and Devonport 8. That's all in weather tonight. Back to you, Rach.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Jackie. Well, that's all your news for this, the first day of winter. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you tomorrow at 6. Bye for now.